You came into Full House. I was surprised because it seemed like you came in much earlier than season 8, but you came in season 8.
Yeah. And what happened was, I was slated to be her next boyfriend going on for the rest of the series until they found out they were going to be canceled. And then they decided that she was going to make a decision between Nelson or me. Because I dumped her and then I wanted her back.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be me, but then she picked nobody because the show is ending.
Well, we didn't know because we were told that there was a possibility when the WB network started
that it would come
that
back.
we were going to do 2 more seasons on the WB. But at that point, season 8, people were kind of like, how many more stories can we tell? We've already told 192 of these. Like, not everybody was into it. I was like, I'll do 2 more seasons, man. I'm having a blast. I'll come in and do Popeye and walk out. It
was an expensive show, at that point.
At that point, it was expensive.
Getting a lot, and I think that was an issue, if I remember.
Yeah, salaries had gone up, and as shows do, everybody's salary everywhere on a show in success, everybody starts feeding out of the trough, you know? Especially when we knew that syndication money was there. It's like, hey, we're in syndication. You want to do some more? But you became part of our Full House family because then you came back for Fuller House. So once again, they're bringing you back.
I've stayed in touch with John a lot. Candace.
I was going to ask you who you still keep in touch with.
Still talk to Candace and Jody. So funny enough,
She was here. She just did her Full House Rewind episodes. Yeah.
I had a movie that I was starring in and producing called Just Swipe. As a romantic comedy, and Rachel Rothman reps both of us as manager. And I said, what about Jody for the lead opposite me? Would that be weird? And she's like, no, let me send her to the script. And Jody came on board. And that's been, went on Pop TV.
Yeah.
And now lives on Pluto, which is one of their streamers. But she did a great job with me. So that was a bit of a reunion. So Jody and I have stayed in touch.
Sure.
Also was good friends with her ex-husband, Morty, still am.
Yeah.
So there's been this connection that hasn't really gone away. Bob and I actually used to go out. We would hit the clubs together back in the day.
Hitting the clubs with Bob.
Yeah, there was some of that
That's
going
another
on.
show. That's Full House Progressive. That's not Rewind. Yeah.
Yeah, Bob was not Danny.
No, he wasn't. He never was. I met Bob when I was 18 years old, way before Full House. And I never could have imagined him being
the clean-cut dad, the dirtiest act of anybody on his stand-up.
Yeah, he was. I give Bob a lot of credit for staying true to who he was because he became the host of America's Funniest Home Videos and Danny Tanner. So
two family shows.
Two very very family shows. But he would still go out and people would just be sitting in the front row going, I can't believe that's Danny Tanner talking like this.
It was always a little scary when he'd warm up the audience because he'd be like, is he going to break into some of that?
Yeah. What was your experience like when you were on our set? I mean, was it fun for you?
It was amazing for me. I had kind of been getting over this trauma. It's really traumatic, by the way, when you're courted by a studio and a network and you're told you're their next big thing.
Yeah.
You have your own show. You're number 1 on the call sheet. You're first billing on the credits and I'm a star and I've got this big cast and I've got this big show and it's gone.
Yeah.
And it was 3 in a row. It was, Secret Life of Harry Green got called Reality Check. And then I did the Martin Short show and all my idols growing up, as an SCTV fan.
Oh, man.
Growing up in Canada, like Martin Short, Brian Doyle Murray, Jan Hooks, Andrea Martin.
Dave Thomas is a good buddy of mine.
Dave Thomas stops by and you're just like, he's like, I'm shooting next door. I thought I'd stop by. Eugene Levy is directing us.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
It's canceled. It's canceled. It's canceled. It's not picked up.
Isn't
not picked
that
up.
Crazy? So, you got that much talent and a show just, well, we're going another way.
We were picked up for 13 and pulled after 3. And you're just like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
And we were in this crazy time slot, I think, between Frasier and Wings on NBC. So anyway, to have a show and one that was seasoned and going, and all you extremely talented people.
Yeah.
It was amazing for me. It was a huge win after all these failed pilots. It was just amazing to be on a show, and I wish I could have been on longer, and I wish I could have gone more seasons.
Us too.
You know?
Us too. You know, because people remember that character.
I mean, when
Do
they
you
called
get
me about,
recognized still from it?
I get recognized more from Full House
Really?
than the 60 movies I've done since put together. I'm gonna say that again: 60 movies,
Wow.
and take them all together, and I get recognized more from Full House.
Isn't that crazy? The power of television, man. You
It
know,
was a very big show.
it
Still
and,
is.
and you know, it is, and you know, there's something in the Kool-Aid. We don't know quite what it is. I've talked about what it could possibly be, but I think it was the chemistry that you saw on screen. You can't fake that, and I think people just felt like it was video comfort food for a couple of generations now. And they loved the characters. They just loved the characters. Didn't matter how schmaltzy the scripts could be sometimes. We made those scripts come alive in a very organic way because we really liked each other. And you can't fake that. You know that.
I think you're right. You
You
know,
know?
I've been on a lot of sets that are dysfunctional. That there's like, you know,
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
won't
them
name
out there.
names, but there's some, you know, actors who have not been so kind to their crews and other people, and you know, I've witnessed that when I've guest starred in other people's shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was not that. Although I will say, there was an episode where the stage manager was directing. And it was like the substitute teacher was in the house, and you and Bob were just completely uncontrollable and just goofing off nonstop. And finally, Stamos said, "Everybody needs to stop." And everyone
Yeah.
just went, "Oh God, okay, John's getting serious now. We got to get
Bob
serious."
and I could get a little carried away. You got your own company now.
Yep.
When I started this interview and I said, "You're a busy guy," you're a busy guy, and now you're producing. And just tell us about that, because I think it's great that you're going into that area of show business.
I mean, kind of like I was saying, it's like I've had these projects that I've written and wanted to star in, and it's tough getting a movie made. And I had like this Christmas movie I wrote, spent 10, 15 years on this script, and it kept getting optioned and falling out. Finally, I said, I'm going to produce this myself, you know? And it was that mentality, especially during the pandemic when no one was doing anything,
Yeah,
where I said, I think I can just keep shooting. And I have a lot of guys and women that I know who are talented filmmakers who wanted to work. I said, well, look, I won't pay much, but if you come work with me, we can go out in the woods and shoot a movie called Curse of Wolf Mountain with Danny Trejo and Tobin Bell. And we shot a horror movie in 8 days, and that's out now. And I did a bunch of movies like this, like Just Swipe with Jodie. We shot that in the middle of the pandemic, the middle of lockdown.
She was talking about that
in a house.
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah, because I
mean,
told her you were coming on, and she said, "Oh, tell Dave I said hi." And I said, "Yeah, I will."
She did a great job. That movie was a big win. Viacom scooped it up right away, put it on Pop TV and Pluto. So I started doing this, and a friend of mine, Bob Daly Jr., whose dad, Bob Daly Sr.,
Sure,
was
of
the
course,
chairman of
yeah.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Right? From 1980 to 2000,
Yeah.
he, with Terry Semel, ran Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And he's like, God, you're so good at this producing thing. You know, really, somebody's going to scoop you up and want to do something with you. I'm like, do you want to do something with me? And he's like, yeah. I was like, what do you want to do? It's like a partnership? And he's like, yeah.
That's awesome.
And he's like, yeah, you need some real money behind you. I can do that, and some clout. And he said, let's call it Latigo Films, because it's got a beach house in Latigo. And I said, great. And his dad is our senior advisor, and you know, there's nobody better. And we just kind of went off to the races. We've made 15 movies in just over 2 years.
That's awesome. That is
8
awesome.
movies last year, including Freud's Last Session with Anthony Hopkins and Matthew Good, that's in theaters.
Well, I got 3 Christmas movies that I wrote, so
Send them to me.
I'm saying it here out loud. You know, you have to manifest this stuff.
But send them to me, please.
I hear you, man. I feel your pain, because I
love
wrote.
them. I'm in the Christmas movie. I'm
I
a Jew,
wrote-
but I make Christmas movies. It's
Well,
a funny thing.
my grandmother was a Jew too,
Yeah.
so
I
mean,
wrote a
but-
Christmas film, and
Yeah.
it's fantastic. And Jewish people love to write and music and stories for Christmas, because we love Christmas more than anybody.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I've spent many a Christmas with Saget.
Yeah.
But I've also been to every Seder, every bris, every
There we go.
yeah, I've been to everything. Dave, it is so great to see you, and thank you so much for coming on the show. And man, I wish you nothing but the best, because you're like
Thanks,
you're one of
Dave.
the good guys, you know.
I
and
appreciate that, man.
And it's always good to see one of the good guys succeed.